Hey gamers, what's up? So, EA is dropping the online pass. You gotta laugh. I mean, what was it, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago? I was talking about this, and a lot of interesting things have happened since then. And I thought maybe it's worth talking about right now. First, I want to jump into some things that have happened recently. Now, we all know John Riccitiello stepped down from the CEO position at EA, and it came right down to him just doing a bad job. Now, John Riccitiello took over in 2007, and since 2007, the company has maintained a certain amount, per year. They haven't really shot up. Now, when Larry Probst, who's running it right now while they're looking for a new CEO, when he was running it between 91 to 2007, we saw EA grow in annual revenues from 175 million to approximately 3 billion a year. Now, this is the job he did. He did this between 91 and 2007. We're talking about a time when there was no online, there were no multi-transactions, there was no DLC. This is a time when used games sold just like, every day. It was no big deal. So when people tell you, oh, EA suffers because of used game sales, their biggest growth was during a time when used games were at their most popular and there was no defense against them, such as online pass, DLC, registration codes, blah, blah, blah. So that's something to remember next time someone tells you that used games are hurting the market. Then we get into just what Riccitiello said. My decision to leave EA is really about my accountability for the shortcomings in our financial results this year. It currently looks like we come in at a low end of, or slightly below, the financial guideline we issued to the street, and we have fallen short of the internal operating plan we set 1 year ago, and for that I am 100% accountable. That's wonderful, isn't it? I like hearing that. I will say that quarter that he resigned, for the quarter, they were projected to make $1.115 to $1.215 billion. So don't forget, EA is not crumbling. EA is not in trouble. EA is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So don't think that, oh, well, see, we have hurt them by buying used games and blah. No, we haven't. What hurt them was John Riccitiello's leadership. And I think the online pass was part of his plan to set forth this age of microtransactions and charging gamers. And I mean, if you don't believe me, take John Riccitiello's word for it himself. Take a listen to this.
When you are 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not very price sensitive at that point in time. And for what it's worth, the cogs on the clip really low. And so essentially what ends up happening, and the reason the play first, pay later model works so nicely, is the consumer gets engaged in a property. They might spend 10, 20, 30, 50 hours on the game. And then when they're deep into the game, they're well invested in it. We're not gouging, but we're charging. And at that point in time, the commitment can be pretty high. As a personal anecdote, I spent about $5,000 calendar year to date on doing just this type of thing on our products and others. I can readily attest to how well it works. But it's a great model, and I think it represents a substantially better future for the industry.
So that's the future John Riccitiello had in mind, and that's why EA has suffered. That's why EA's revenues dropped, and that's why he's gone now. And part of his whole scheme was Online Pass. So it's not really a huge surprise to me that Online Pass is disappearing now. In regards to that, I also want to talk about something that I think is really important. The announcement EA made about discontinuing the Online Pass system itself. EA Senior Director of Corporate Communications John Reisberg said, yes, we're discontinuing Online Pass. None of our new EA titles will include that feature. Initially launched as an effort to package a full menu of online content and services, many players didn't respond to the format. We've listened to the feedback and decided to do away with it moving forward. Consumers didn't like it and were telling us they didn't like it. EA's head spokesman, Jeff Brown, later said, we're not talking about that layer of people complaining about a lot of stuff like paying for games and all that. God bless them. It became pretty clear that mainstream consumers didn't like it. So, I believe I said in many of my prior videos that we as a community of gamers are hundreds of millions strong. And if we speak up, it will work. We will be listened to because the consumers are the true power. Gamers are the real strength in this industry. And if we want something, we speak up and we get it. We speak up with our wallets. We speak up with our emails. We speak up when we vote EA the worst company in America 2 years running. And for all the naysayers who 2.5 years ago and since 2.5 years ago have emailed me and messaged me and told me, it's stupid, you're an idiot, we can't stop it, there's nothing we can do, EA is going to do whatever they want. Well, proof positive. Gamers speak up, gamers get what they want. You remember that when you want to say something about something you don't like. Hey, you know what? Boot up your camera, shoot a video like I do. You know, that's how I speak out. Get people talking. Teach people if they don't already know what's going on in the industry. As long as we stay educated with what's happening and we use our voices to speak out against those things that are just unfair. I'm not talking about the little petty things like I don't like the gameplay of this or, you know, whatever that little petty argument you may be. I'm talking about the big stuff, online passes. I'm talking about ruining gaming. I'm talking about destroying the resale value of our games. I'm talking about destroying our games' collectability. I'm talking about making games that are incomplete and fixing them on day one with day one DLC packs that won't exist in 10 years. So 10 years from now when we go back to play our old games, they're going to be broken and unplayable. I'm talking about the things that really matter to the industry. So we still need to keep talking because don't think that this is just the end. We haven't just won and the war is over now because there's a lot more to cover. We still have a lot to work on with microtransactions and all that. Don't think that EA is going to stop. I still hold true to my original ideals. I want a game industry that gives us great quality content and doesn't nickel and dime us and doesn't release games to us that have a shelf life that we won't be able to play 10 years from now. I'm a collector, I'm a gamer, I love video game history and I want it to continue. So we still have to keep saying what we need to say. We still have to keep fighting. We have to keep our minds open and watch what's happening. So when these things happen, when they take advantage of us, we're ready to say something right then and there. And here's the proof. If you say something, it can work. It will be heard. This is wrong. Refuse to buy any EA title that has this feature. If everyone bands together, if all the gamers who don't like this idea say, okay, I'm not buying EA games that require the online pass, then it will work. But it has to be everyone. It can't be a half-assed commitment. You can't say, oh, well, I'll just buy Madden 11 because I need to play Madden. No, don't buy it. Play your old copy of Madden 10. I say let them know. I say pass this video on to everyone you know and make sure they know, and let's stop them in their tracks. One voice is small, but if everyone shouts together, you will be heard. Let me start off by saying I, for one, do not like the idea of being extorted and held hostage by the same companies I've supported for 20+ years. Teach EA and any other company that tries this that we are stronger than they are. All of EA's success over the years was thanks to you and I, our support, and this is how they've repaid us, with extortion. Email EA, hit their forums, tell them what you think. Do it now. Don't sit back and wait for someone else to do it. Take action. It'll take every single one of us, and together we can put a dent in EA's massive ego by making a difference. And the first step is putting out the information, making the facts known, and making the right decisions based on those facts. The gaming community is hundreds of millions strong. And if we all shout, EA will without question hear what we have to say. So get to yelling.